My guest today gets it, and that is why he's back for his third appearance on the podcast. I don't know if we've had anybody on for three appearances. He is a media veteran. He's a pro. He knows how to read crazy times to get to the truth behind the spin of the mainstream media narratives. He is a media trailblazer. He was a former MTV VJ, digital entrepreneur. He is called the Podfather for his role in creating the very first podcast 20 years ago. He's never been afraid to dive deep into the chaos of our world, which he does every week as a co-host of the No Agenda podcast. He has called himself now not a conspiracy theorist, a conspiracy therapist. And I think we might be able to benefit from some of that therapy right now. It's why I'm sitting down with the one and only, my friend Adam Curry. Well, welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Glad to have you here.
It's great to be here. There's so much going on in the world.
I know.
Feel like,
so where do you want to start?
Wherever you want to, but you're the guy. You're the guy that I can talk to from a godly perspective. Because I think we are spiritually broken right now. There's so much going on. We're just, everyone's losing their ever-loving mind right now.
I know. Last time you were here, you had just told me that you had converted, and you were afraid to talk to Joe Rogan.
Yeah. It turned out pretty good, actually. It's amazing how many Christians come out of the woodworks when you say, "Hey, I'm a Jesus freak. I'm here." It's really been I'm on fire. There is so much happening.
Where are you in your journey?
Wow. I'm doing what God is telling me to do is where I'm in the journey. God's moving me to do things to, spread the good news of the gospel. It's interesting because No Agenda is, it's a show where we deconstruct media. Mm-hmm. So, but I'm bringing it in. Bringing in my biblical perspective. There's a biblical worldview that we can take on stuff.
It's weird because people will say, you can't bring politics into it, or you can't bring God into politics, or God into this. But it's who I am.
Thank you.
It's the worldview I have. There's no way to cut it out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it's all encompassing.
Well, we've also been hoaxed into this so-called separation clause, which is like, okay, show me that in the Constitution.
It's nowhere.
It's like, yes, the First Amendment is so that the government cannot tell you what religion or faith you can believe. Basically, it's what you can believe in your own mind.
Yeah, it was to say that because there were colonies at the time where you had to be a certain religion or you couldn't serve in the government.
Right.
And so that was like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
You can be any religion.
Yes. And so that has been, I think is, from a letter that Jefferson wrote, that's been...
Notes on Virginia.
Yes, been contorted into, well, we have a separation clause and you can't have God in government. Well, I've read my Founder's Bible. David Barton, I'm sure. The work they did on that is just amazing. And you read all of our presidents, all of them were men of God. The Senate was a church.
I know.
I know. On Sundays, the Senate turned into
under
a church.
Jefferson.
Exactly. Under Jefferson of all people.
Yeah,
exactly.
I know.
So it's like, that. I think that's really what made America great. And of course, we lost our way. Like all countries, everybody loses their way. And I'm just speaking as a new Christian. I'm looking back and going, maybe it was a little bit better back then. I mean, of course, issues, we had problems. But here we are 249 years later. I'm like, we might want to investigate this a little more.
It's weird because I am a little long in the tooth, if you will. It feels like at times with my faith. And I'm still discovering new things. Like, I'm really at this place now where it's hard. I talk about politics all the time. And you look at it and you're like, it's not this difficult.
Yeah.
Bad guys should go to jail. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And I get so upset, like this Epstein thing. I got so upset and I had to take a minute and go, you know what? I don't know the outcome.
I saw your show the other night where you basically sent your guests home and you get kind of your perspective on it.
Yeah. And but before you get there, it was I had to get to a place where I'm like, and this is so important. Otherwise, we're going to get more and more mad at everything. I don't own the outcome. It's his will. Amen. Whatever, good or bad, Amen. It will work to our good. I mean, look at the 2020 election. Yes. And we all thought that we're doomed. And we wouldn't have Donald Trump the way he is today back in 2020. And so we have to just look at things and go, well, it's not, I'm fascinated to see how this is going to work out, but I can only do what I do, and the rest, I don't own it. It's not my problem.
Right. That, unfortunately, is not how media works anymore.
I don't know if it ever did.
Well, I mean, audience capture is a big thing, particularly for podcasts. And, when you get people, now, I've had people yelling at me for 17 and a half years about, you're wrong, I'm never going to listen, I'm unsubscribing, I'm not going to donate. Yeah, okay. This is why we have a donation model, so there's other people who will. But we're at a point now where we are collectively, as a country, but as a world, we are traumatized still from COVID. And I think that there's anything we can do to get revenge on anything and everybody. It's like a human thing, like, I'm just mad. And I think it comes from COVID, whether you were locked down, whether you were forced to take vaccine, whether your family disagreed with you on these things. I think there's tremendous trauma that is still deep inside of us. And Epstein has become an issue, which is like this perfect confluence. It really started October 7th, 2 years ago. You had the left going, free Palestine with no historical context. I mean, this goes back to Isaac and Ishmael. I mean, you even say that, people's eyes roll up.
I know.
1948, 1967. Right. Well, this has been going on for a little bit longer than that. And then, of course, AIPAC. I've actually studied AIPAC. And, it's like, well, everyone in Congress and the Senate, they're hijacked and they're under the control of AIPAC because they have the money. It's true. But if you look at AIPAC's money, they get it from the American Israeli Education Fund. And if you look at who's putting money into that, it's Raytheon, it's Boeing, it's military-industrial complex. This is what Eisenhower warned us for. He didn't warn us for the Zionist Israeli Jew industrial complex. He warned us for the military-industrial complex. So if you got war somewhere, look at who really benefits from that.
Yeah.
That's
fascinating.
I mean, you just have to look at it. You can look at the Form 990s and see how it works and where it comes from. So I'm like, well, yes, but people have been hijacked by the military-industrial complex since before I was born. And so it's turned into, and this is the enemy at work, Glenn. To me, it's so obvious. So just divide everybody, just ruin all relationships. If you go back to 1974, it was the senator from Seattle, Senator Boeing, I think they called him. There was a decision made there right after the Vietnam War was ending. Like, we can't get our young men and women to fight anymore, so we might as well put up an aircraft carrier. That's a famous quote that was used at the time, in the Middle East, and we'll use that as our launching pad. And if we get into a tussle, we'll have somebody fight who already hate each other down there. And this was a setup that, of course, I think all war is evil. All of this is bad. But people are convinced that Israel controls America, Israel controls Donald Trump, Israel controls everything.
They're really bad at controlling things.
They're not doing a great PR job, that's for sure. And they all own the media, and they're screwing that up too. So, like, just look at the facts.
They're bad at it if they do control it.
Look at the facts of it. So, but that confluence kind of all came together, and we're so bad at processing too much information. We're not good at it. Social media, none of that is really good for our brains, and so people get so riled up about this that we lose. And so with Epstein, obviously, this was a part of the narrative. I was a part of this narrative. Like,
Me too.
Epstein didn't kill himself. We had songs. It was funny. We were joking around, on and on and on. If you look at the history of Ghislaine Maxwell and her dad. But this, of course, is much bigger than what I think is intelligence communities have used sex as a leverage weapon forever. And so it's not just Mossad.
Exactly.
It's CIA, it's FBI, everybody.
We did exactly what he was accused of doing
And he might have
with
been
the
doing,
Germans.
And he might have been
with the Germans.
Well, there you go. Exactly. I mean, we
It's
have
not new.
some of the biggest spy stories.
Yes.
Mata Hari. I mean,
Yes.
you can go on and on and on.
Right.
So this is not new. But this confluence of, I don't want my money committing genocide. I don't want my people controlled by Israel or by Mossad, and everyone's blackmailed, and Trump is blackmailed. At a certain point, it's just like you're spinning out of control, and we can't just sit down and say, okay, hold on a second. By the way, justice will be served. God's going to serve justice where it needs to be served, and maybe we need to break more. I'm not sure where we're at right now in God's eyes. But all of this put together, whereas 2 years ago, you couldn't even say, "Oh, the Jews run the media." Now it's like, if you don't say that, you're excoriated. If you don't explicitly denounce a faith or a country or whatever, then you're a Zionist shill. You're
Scary.
How many shekels did you get this week, Curry?
Yeah.
And it's insane. It's really insane. And there was a lead up to this. Kanye, he was a part of that. And I don't know if this is where this comes from. I don't think this is like some huge op. I think a lot of people are jumping in on it. But now when you see, the podcast, of course, is it's a big deal, as you know. This thing has kind of worked. And I think there's a fear, a definite fear of losing your audience, because you hear it. When you say something that isn't exactly what everybody wants to hear, boom, they're coming out. They're telling you suck, you're no good.
You're never going to be able to hit that standard.
No.
You have to be who you are, or
Thank you.
You're going to, nobody wants to watch somebody who's trying to please everybody. Nobody wants to see that. We're starving for some, especially with AI coming, starving for something that's authentic. You know what I mean? And it used to be, at least to me, it used to be something kind of heroic, that person is standing up against the time. Now
now you're a shill.
Yeah.
You're a Zionist shill.
But now you have to do it.
Yeah.
You have to do it, because there's no chance of having anything left in the end if you've lost who you are.
Well, I agree, but we went through this with COVID. We had, okay, hold on a second. There's something going on here. There's all kinds of issues at play. There was a huge amount of pushback when Russia and Ukraine, when the conflagration, known as full-scale invasion, when that happened, there were Ukraine flags all over Texas. And I'm like, well, we kind of got to look at the history of this, what happened in 2014. And you had a CIA director there, and, this was a clear putsch that was taking place. And there was a lot of pushback on this. This is the biggest one I've witnessed. And quite honestly, for such a time as this, I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad we're doing it, because people need to get some perspective. At the same time, do you know Victor Marx? Have you ever met Victor Marx? He has a All Things Possible ministry. He's an ex-special forces type, like a door kicker, and he now goes and saves children and women who have been trafficked and are being held hostage.
How do I not know him? I must know him.
You would love talking to him. He's a great guy. And he says, there's still 40,000 images and videos a day being uploaded to the internet in America alone, of child pornography. And so we're losing complete sight of the brokenness that really is taking place. And sadly, America seems to be number one on the list.
I know.
And so we can't lose sight of that and only focus on elites who, by definition, I think, you've been around very wealthy people, powerful people. Sometimes they get bored and they fall into these crazy habits. It's like Hollywood, no different from that, really. But meanwhile, there is a brokenness that we have created in our country in particular, going all the way back to Shirley Temple. The war babies. You got a 3-year-old in a bra, sexualized, and Hollywood thought it was great and it was a big joke. And just turn on the TV. Turn it on. Everything is sexualized, and that has to take a toll. And I think we're getting there right now. I think that's really, porn addiction is an all-time high. And that's bad. That's a real thing. So
how do we? The good news is that the younger generation is searching for God like crazy.
In the infamous words of Lonnie Frisbee, we got a whole generation just searching for God, man.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I think we're in the middle of a revival. We're way overdue for another awakening. You know, it's like 100 years overdue.
Yeah, I know.
And I am delighted to see that. But we've got to shepherd this generation. We've got to give them outlets. We have to give them a voice in the media. You know, that's really important. You know, where are all the new young broadcasters coming up on faith-based radio, which is broken by itself? You know, so there's a lot of opportunity here. But if we're all wrapped up and, you know,
that's
all
what you're doing.
out about
what do you call it? The Godcast?
Godcaster. Yeah. Thank you. So I told you God was moving through me. And what initially started, we just released our app on Android and Apple. It's free for people to use. And what you get in it is it's a new way of listening to radio and on demand, so live streams and on demand, which really helps. I like faith-based radio stations, A, because I'm interested in the message, and B, they mostly live on a donation model, and things changed in the app stores now. You can have a donate button, so now you can donate directly to the programming or to the radio station. But as we were doing this, we realized that churches have become content factories, and they now they're becoming radio stations. And so and what do we miss? All stations, we have no local media anymore. So now you can have your radio station, but then also put in the pastor's podcast or your local city council or someone. We have guys all over. In Fredericksburg, where I live, 11,000 people. We got Matt Long. He does a daily show, and it's all about the hill country and about Fredericksburg. And so we really have developed this back-end platform for faith-based radio stations and for ministries so that they can, you know, you put in the podcast, you click a button, now it's a live stream. You know, it's exciting to get that serendipity again of I'm turning on the radio, I'm flipping through something. Oh, I like this show. Click, I can go back to the podcast, listen to it. So that's what Godcaster is. And that Glenn, I had no intention on starting a company or doing anything like that. And God brought me partners. And he said, here you go. You got to do this. And so I want the youth group at our church to do podcasts. You know, come on. And there's something cool for a young person. Instead of doing your Instagram video or your TikTok and getting some likes, people have forgotten that you can do a lot for your community. And it's something different when the kids at school say, hey, you know, I saw you talking about our basketball game, and I love that, and that podcast. We need to get back to that. There's nothing left on a local level. So I want radio stations to be able to bring back local into their programming without the overhead of the towers and transmitters. You know this better than I do. But man, ministries and churches, I'm so excited about that. You know, we have Hello Fred, which is I run the little local station. And we got Pastor Jimmy. You know, he's doing his daily devotional. We've syndicated that out to a station in Franklin, Tennessee.
Wow.
You know, so that's kind of like a exchange marketplace. So yeah, so the Godcaster app is just our way of saying, here's what we're doing. And, you know, every radio station can put it in their own app and everything.
It's amazing to me because it's what people miss. You know, we go do so much work, you know, with the floods here in Texas, and the hurricanes.
20 minutes down the road from me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what the mainstream media and nothing else gives you is when you're on the ground at one of those things, you see heroism, you see local communities just come together in ways that you've never seen before. And it's inspiring to see it, and nobody's covering that. I liken it to, Hello Fred is.
Yeah. I liken it to the Grand Canyon. You know, if you haven't been there, you don't understand the vastness of it. You don't understand how high the piles of junk are. You're not seeing the cadaver dogs. You're not seeing men of God jumping in, grabbing their heavy machinery, going down, you know, just digging people out. And we have a lot of churches in our area. And so, man, our churches are staging areas for food. We've got I call her J6er Jenny. She was a pardoned J6er. She has a bed and breakfast, Half Moon Inn. She's housing 300 volunteers. She says, I just need water and socks. I mean, and I remember Western North Carolina, and of course we have a lot of listeners, and we call them producers, who live there. So I got much more information than most would from mainstream media. And all I could do was like, here's my credit card, fill up the helicopters, just fill them up, fill them up, fill them up. And they're still rebuilding. And that story's long gone. You know, the people are still rebuilding their businesses, their factories. And I tell you, man, what I saw was going on and is still going on, that's America. That, to me, is America. In America, we blame the government for not doing enough. In Europe, people blame the government for not doing anything. You know, they don't help each other. Here, we help each other. There was a guy who came in from the Netherlands. He has a nonprofit called Disaster Tech Lab, and he literally came into Comfort, Centerpoint, Hunt, and put down a Wi-Fi mesh network so everybody can communicate. He leaves it. He leaves all the stuff there, you know, so it's all sponsored, you know, the gear is sponsored. That's the stuff that really, like, okay, here, this is what we are. This is who we are. This is what we do. And, you know, I didn't even know if the federal government was all that helpful in this case.
There comes a point in your life when your life goes from being something that's just irritating to something you have to deal with every day. In that life of yours, it's pain, a small tweak in your back, a sore knee, a little stiffness in the morning. And at first you might brush it off, but you know, these things happen. I'm just getting older. But then this pain starts to make decisions for you. It changes how you move, how you sleep, what you say yes to, and what you have to start saying no to. And it steals little by little moments of your life, moments you just don't get back. Relief Factor is designed to help you take those moments back. 100% drug-free solution specifically formulated to fight the inflammation that's causing your pain. And for thousands and thousands of people, it has helped reduce or even eliminate the daily struggle. So, you know, you can get back to living life that you want, or those who have tried it. You know, they no longer have pain dictating their life. Pain may have changed your life, but it doesn't have to define it. Give their 3-week quick start a try for only $19.95. Visit ReliefFactor.com, 800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF, ReliefFactor.com. It's what you're describing, though, is an actual return to American principles.
Amen. Yes.
One of my favorite stories, I think it was in 29, Hoover, I think it was, sent some...
It's been a while, Glenn. Let me think.
I know. I don't remember which president it was, but there was a flood here in Texas, a big one, and the federal government decided they were going to help out, and so they sent some trucks down, and the people in Texas met them in the street with their shotguns and said, "Turn your trucks around. We don't need you. We don't want you here."
Yeah.
They went back, and Congress passed some bill to raise X number of dollars that they sent. In the meantime, the country and Texas raised 15, 20 times that amount.
Right.
They didn't need it. Now we wait for the government to come in.
In many cases, Texas, I think, is maybe a little bit different.
Texas and Florida.
Florida, too. You know, what people don't realize, and this is another kind of issue that I like bringing to the table. We're involved. We're looking down. We're looking at our phones, right? And I can't remember. It's a famous quote like, "A map is not terrain." You know, so you look at a weather map and you see colors, but that doesn't really mean you know what's going on with the weather. And so people are mad that we didn't have the warning system, the sirens. This area has flooded since the 1860s. I mean, 1987 was another really bad one. That's not that long ago. I mean, I remember 1987. And the way, I mean, I imagine Pa Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie looking up and going, "Yeah, it's sticking around. Doesn't look too good. We should get to higher ground." You know, where's that?
Yes.
You know, we're all waiting for the technology to alert us, to warn us. I mean, how come my phone didn't tell me? We've lost that ability to just look up and understand our surroundings and say, you know, listen to the old timers like, yeah, this could get pretty bad.
So can I ask you, because we're about to enter now truly the AI age. Well, it's going to make that so much worse. It could make it better. I think for many it will make it so much worse. I don't know. Where's the answer? There's no thinking, and we've gone from Google giving you 1,000 answers to now one answer. And I look at this and think, who's going to know how to do
anything? Well, there's a couple sides to this. I've studied AI extensively. I've done software projects for 3 months and stuff I could have done with a good developer in 3 days. The vibe coding, it's not all that great. It makes all kinds of mistakes. It's decent at syntax. I mean, I'm sure that if someone writes a piece and sends it to your desk and you look at it and say, that's AI, don't ever send that to me again, because you can see it. You can see what's going on. Machine learning is a real thing. I mean, and this is all branding and marketing. Machine learning is just, it works. You can teach machines to learn and make decisions. You can sift through databases. But and really OpenAI did this with ChatGPT. They introduced a parlor trick, which goes back to 1966. Joseph Weizenbaum, I think it was, the Eliza effect. Do you remember you ever heard the Eliza effect?
No.
So
I'm assuming it's from My Fair Lady.
Well, yeah, that's where the name was.
Yeah,
Thank you. Reference no one else got. And so he put together a very simple program, was called Doctor. And it was basically neurolinguistic programming. It's a very simple therapy. Glenn, how are you feeling today? I'm not feeling so good. Why are you not feeling so good? Well, I had a fight with my wife. Why did you have a fight with your wife? Well, she was angry. What was she angry about? So the thing is talking with you and you're giving it information, but it's really not. It's just taking keywords and spitting them back at you. When Weizenbaum did this, he put together a program using this Doctor backend, and it was called Eliza. And he put his secretary, these days we'd say assistant, in front of it. And within 5 minutes, she said, could you please leave the room, because there's some very personal stuff I want to talk to this Eliza about. This is a parlor trick. And and I even saw it myself as I was coding this project, and it would make mistakes, and I'd start typing in all caps, because it comes back to you, oh, I'm sorry I made this mistake. We'll nail it this time. And I'm typing, you did this wrong. What's wrong with you? I'm like, whoa, Curry, step back. You have just fallen into the Eliza effect. I mean, you can, if you really look for it, there are people losing their minds.
Oh, yeah.
And it all ends up in either two places, when they start talking to their ChatGPT all day long. And I start this topic on No Agenda, and so people are sending me their experiences from bosses who completely, their whole life is run by their AI, or what they call their ChatGPT. It either ends up in a weird sexual fantasy chat, or I've solved all the problems of the universe and there's a deity out there and it's not God, it's something else. That's the two directions this thing goes in. Both of them very problematic.
Both of them evil. Really, I hear you say there's two directions. I like both of them are actually one direction.
This is darkness. It's dark, yeah. I don't believe most of the hype. I mean, when you hear people talking, oh, we're going to quantum computing, we're like, oh, there's the pivot, because the stuff doesn't actually work all that great. It's great marketing. It's fun to see Grok 4 reasoning, but I really just, I haven't seen it do anything incredibly amazing yet. And everyone, it's all it went from AI, we'll get AGI. Well, that's generative, not general. Okay, we'll get to ASI, super AI. Right now we have agentic AI, which is another marketing term set up by the Salesforce guys. It's really not getting there. And to me, it's just pouring more and more. Silicon Valley always needs a story, Glenn. They always need a story. I think the only two groundbreaking technologies of the last 25 years are podcasting and Bitcoin. That's it. Everything else is just another really? Version. I think so, yeah. Oh, Bitcoin is what an amazing invention that is. And podcasting, I think, wasn't really an invention. Again, all glory to God. I was just there when it came to be.
The podfather is what people call you.
Yeah, but those things are critically important, and they're very simple. They're very simple things. No one owns it. No one's in charge of it. No one can control it. And this AI thing, man, if Elon Musk can go in and say, well, we fixed Grok because it was being anti-Semitic, well, then you can control it. You can put anything in there. And eventually it'll be like, vote Democrat or vote Republican or buy this, And where's the model? Where's the money? Is everyone going to pay what this really costs, what these compute cycles really cost? Google, how do they make their advertising model work with this? Is it going to be like Idiocracy, where if you don't pay, then you get ads the whole time? So that's something we have to look inward, and we have to reconnect with people. We became lonely because of our phones, and now you're being given a friend to talk to.
So frightening. That's frightening to me, because people are going to accept that. Not everybody, but
there's
a lot
a friend
of people.
you can talk to all day. His name is Jesus, man. That's who I talk to, and and I can hear him. I can hear it coming back to me, and wow, that feels a lot better. And doesn't make life easy, doesn't make life go better, but I'm not. That's who I go to, and I hope we can convince young people. You can't make somebody love somebody, but if we can expose them to it, then we can.
Once you feel it, it's different. You can say it a million times, but until you feel it, explain to somebody what it feels like, what it felt like when you just say, "I talk to him, he talks to me, I can hear him." Mm-hmm. Somebody who's never experienced that, explain that.
Well, it's okay. It may be different for everybody, but as I was coming to my faith, I was reminded of us. I was trying to pray. I'm like, okay, I'm going to pray. And I go on my walk with my dog, and I basically do the 12-step prayer. Forgive me, Lord, I'm a sinner. Mm-hmm. And you repeat it 12 times. I'm like, okay, I can do that. As I'm doing it, I was reminded of Stevie Wonder's song. If you see, just go have a talk with God. I don't know if you remember the song. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you feel life's not going well, whatever. I can't sing. You just go have. It always just go have a talk with God. And I'm like, okay. And so I would just start to speak out loud, and things would come into my head. I'm like, okay, and it would be comforting. And I think we all have an inner voice. And do you really know where that inner voice is coming from? So for me, I hear that's God or the Holy Spirit or Jesus maybe directly speaking to me. And when you pray for certain things, and especially for other people, when I was praying for healing for other people, mm-hmm. and they got healed, that blew my mind. I'm like, okay. Wow. I wasn't praying for myself, but just like, can you heal this kid? Lord Jesus, just by touching the hem of your cloak, if people were healed. Can you heal this? And then healing takes place. And whether that's through the doctors, through medicine, I don't care. It feels to me like something moved. And in general, we as men of God, we need to fight for our country, for our culture, for our children, the way men do, on our knees in prayer. Mm. I really feel that. This is what I learned from Victor Marx, the spiritual warfare. It's Ephesians 6. You've got this warfare is going on mm-hmm. constantly. Movies portrayed as, angel, demon. Mm-hmm. That's real. There's just all the time it's around us, and they're battling us, and the enemy hates us and is trying to get us to trip up and do things. And unfortunately, if you don't have some spiritual guidance, it's easy to fall prey to that.
So, are you optimistic?
Well, we've already won the battle, Glenn.
I know. I hate that. We all know how it ends. Yeah, but it ends. There's a few pages before the end that are not fun.
Yeah, I'm just getting into Revelation. Yeah. I don't know about that. I think I'm optimistic in general. Can we save everybody? No. Would I like to? Yeah.
Does the country survive?
We're still the best country in the world. I've lived in many different countries, and it's a mess. You go to Europe. My daughter lives in Rotterdam, and I talk to the cab driver, and I talk to people, and they're like, I got to tell you, man, I wish we had a guy like Trump. I
hear that too. Going over there, talk to cab drivers.
That's who you want to talk to, right?
They all say the same thing.
They'll tell you, like, I wish I had a guy like Trump. And of course, we are good people in America, and we don't like seeing anyone suffer. So when you see ICE, kicking people out of the country, it hurts. It's like, but I see what happens when you don't do it. You've got the Dutch now at the border, citizens at the border of Germany going, and Belgium going, no, you are not coming in, because the government won't stop it. The government is in fact encouraging it. Mm-hmm. And it's real. Immigration is just a top thing in Europe.
How does Europe? Because I'm watching this and thinking, the governments are all doing the same thing. Everybody, every government is doing the same thing in the West. They're just piling people in. These are not people that want to be They don't want to be German. They don't want to be Swedish. They don't want to be American. For me, there's too many 20-something men by themselves that are coming in.
Yeah.
I know what Islamists, that's different than Islam. I know what Islamists want. And I see this and I feel like, boy, do we not know history, how this happens. It feels like an invasion. And yet, going over to other countries, just like here, people know. And in Europe now, they are still where we were under Biden. It's like, what is happening? Mm-hmm. Why won't you do anything about it? How's that genie of anger and angst and what will turn into a bad kind of nationalism, I think, in a way. How do you put that genie back in the bottle when you don't have anybody on top saying, I hear you?
Well, it's inherently a socialist, communist, Marxist thing that's making this happen. And just look at the signs everywhere. I always look at any protest. I look at the professionally printed signs. I'm like, Socialist Workers Party? Okay. Yeah. You just have to look at what's going on. Unfortunately, Europe always seems to end in the same place. They end up with France and Germany getting into war. Yeah. And Macron and Mr. Peepers, we call him, who's the new guy in Germany. He looks like Mr. Peepers. They're building war economies. They have no other economy. They've completely shut off their main production from cheap energy, even closing the nuclear plants. I mean, that is demonic. Is demonic what's happening there. So there will have to be some kind. It wouldn't be the first time. Europe has a lot of revolt behind it, a lot of war, a lot of things that have gone on. And yeah, you're right. People don't study history. We don't really look at it. We're in the same boat in a way. We have a revolt going on right now. I hope it'll be to a good end. But I think we have the most chance here.
I do too.
What you saw on January 6th, although it was not at all what the media portrayed it to be and what political parties portrayed it to be, that was inherently kind of American. Like, hey, we don't like this. Now, the fact that they got suckered in and walked within the velvet ropes and then were, portrayed as you killed cops, didn't, that's the media and political factions. But that is kind of inherently American to say, no, stop. We don't want this anymore.
Right. It's not to burn things down and destroy cities or whatever. The worst parts of January 6th, what I was really happy about is on January 6th and 7th, at least, before the media got in charge, everybody agreed. Everybody. Yeah. It was one day we were all like, that's not us. Yeah. That's not what I want. Yeah. I might disagree with you about what's happening in Washington, but that's not us.
Right.
And that was at least positive until it, somehow or another was turned into something else.
A punchline almost.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to solve it. I think it would be good, as I said before. We need to, just going to church is such a great experience, and we have a non-denominational church in Fredericksburg. There's 11,000 people in the town. 1,000 go to Bridge Church, which is by all, that's like a mega church, right? Mm. But I look at it and I'm like, everyone's broken. Everyone admits it. They all know it. We've got international arms dealers, diamond smugglers. Everyone's had some kind of issue, alcohol, porn, and we have men's breakfast and we get together as a community, and that's why. We can also take action as a community when disaster strikes, when something happens. That it's not, to me, it's just not like sitting there and listen to the pastor, talk a bit. No, it's like there's engagement. We're speaking into culture. And that's another thing. The American church is afraid. It's quiet. It went quiet. There was a great, I saw an article about the IRS now saying that they would not go go after any church that now speaks about politics. The Johnson Amendment was a big thing that was put in, and most churches I know, they disregard it. Like, come on, sue me. Oh, you want to take away my nonprofit status? Fine.
Yeah.
We will be okay without that.
Right.
So not so much that they have to be speaking into politics, but speaking into culture. How do you take this outside of the church walls? How do we really go? How do we mentor young people?
Well, that's I think the problem with our society is people with a biblical worldview did not look outside and say, this is wrong, and here's why it's wrong, and here's what the principle is that corrects that. We said, I mean, it's this nonsense over, fighting over the 10 Commandments. 10 Commandments are the basis
of life.
of civilization.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, those are so incredibly basic that, if you don't have a church that will, if they're just living 2,000 years ago and they're not speaking about today, but just 2,000 years ago, it doesn't help. I want to learn my scriptures, but I also want to know, how do they apply to today?
Right.
The problem, all of us come in, we're broke. I always look at church as a hospital. I mean, I go there at the end of the week, and it's Sunday, and I'm like,
patch me up, Lord.
Patch me up. I won't make it another week.
Yeah.
Patch me up. You know what I mean? And we're all like that. We all go to church. Patch me up. It's a hospital. But if they're just talking about general medicine and how medicine works, you're like,
Trust the science almost.
Right.
No,
you got to say, it's a war out there, and I know what you're facing.
Yeah.
And here are the things you're going to need this week, just to help you get through.
What I think is helping a lot, and I'm seeing this, coming from my music background, contemporary Christian music artists like Brandon Lake. I mean, these are hardcore rock guys, and they're out there preaching the gospel to stadiums, 15, 20,000 people a night, filled with young people. This is helping. This is a very good development. And so when I say I see revival, I mean, we went to see Lauren Daigle in Austin, and it was at the Moody. I'm like, so we actually went downtown to the Moody Theater, which is like 2,000, and they're like, no, it's over there. It's at the 15,000 seater. And so we had back to the university. I'm like, whoa. Well, I mean, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. And not one night, 3 nights in a row.
Yeah.
And so the message, there's, different generations are there. I've been to a lot of concerts, Glenn. I've been to Metallica in the mosh pit. I've been everywhere. This is different, and people are worshiping. By the way, Christian music concerts, they got the words on the screen. This is a great thing. We should have this with every single concert.
Yeah.
Let me sing along. The words are right there. So it's healing. And when you sing along with something, you're speaking words. And I think this is a part of the process for people. I hope so.
Back with more with Adam Curry in just a minute. First, let me tell you about Jase Medical. When you think about preparedness, a lot of the time you focus on food and water and maybe a generator. But there is one critical piece that people often overlooked, and that's medication. And I have thought about this for years and years. What happens if there's a shortage? What happens if prices skyrocket? It's not just a possibility. It's bound to happen some point in our life. How do you get medication? Well, right now there's talk of a 200% tariff on medications, which would send prices through the roof and could be making you getting the medicine you need a whole lot harder. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I'm sure you're hoping the same thing, but being prepared in case it does is the solution. This is Jase Medical. They have made it simple to protect your health and the health of your family. The Jase case comes with 10 prescription antibiotics and other critical emergency medications. It's all easy in one affordable package. And if you're looking to stay ahead of potential shortages or price spikes, Jase Daily helps you get up to a 12-month supply of your regular prescriptions. So go to jase.com, enter the promo code Beck at checkout for a discount on your order. Promo code Beck at jase.com. I have a podcast coming up next month.
Oh, you need more podcasts in your life is what you need, Glenn.
But it's with Emma Nissen, I think. She's from Sweden. Grew up in Arizona. And she is a combination of Ella Fitzgerald, Adele, Billie Eilish. I mean, she is, you know this. Whenever you can't put somebody in a category, you're like, you're like that. And then you hear something else and you're like, no, you're like that. Yeah. You're dealing with new original talent.
That's right.
She's doing jazz, and it is unbelievable. And she's in her 20s, and she sings like she has been singing for 50 years.
Nice.
And it's all spiritual. It's all about God. And you can listen to it and just sing along and not necessarily be a God person.
But words matter.
Words matter. I'm listening to that and I'm thinking, I want a little sugar in my bowl, or am I worthy? The words, people sing words and they don't even think about what they mean, and they are always making an impression.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Always, as you're saying those, you're affirming those words, and look at the crap that is out there now. Of course, I'm saying this to an old MTV VJ.
The master of crap.
Right. But I mean, we sound like the people that we used to rebel against, that would look at MTV and go, MTV when they played music.
Yeah,
I don't even know if people even know what MTV is or was.
No, there are people who look at me and like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about, bro. they weren't born then, no idea.
It's crazy.
It was the right move for them at the time. They needed to, they're now a multi-billion-dollar brand. If they had just stayed with music videos, they would have been dead.
Yeah.
They saw that coming, and you know how ratings work. You get a 0.2 for your music programming, and all of a sudden you get the magical 1.0 for remote control or one of these long form shows. It was over. I was like, okay, that makes sense there. Now, the stuff they do, like 16 and Pregnant and all this stuff, that's no good. I don't like that. When I was a kid, Glenn, we didn't have that kind of programming on TV. We were wholesome, I tell you. We had Jack Parr.
What was, when you were on MTV, what was the rating? How many people were actually watching you at any given time?
Well, when I got there, 86, 87, they had just moved to basic cable. This was a big deal because that meant you were in 40 million households overnight, because they were very, very piecemeal. And this is before the big cable roll-ups. So a couple things happened. One, speech got restricted right away. You got to be very careful what you say, watershed, all that stuff. You can't say these certain words, which kind of sucked. The music, the label still really controlled a lot. I mean, it was like, I remember making a joke about Madonna and like, no, you can't do that. You got to stop. We can't. What are you talking about? It's just a joke. So I would say that at any given moment during the day, there was probably, just during the music videos, it would be about 300,000-400,000, and then I did Dial MTV, which was later became Total Request Live, then became TRL with Carson Daly, and that was a call-in show. Call 1-800-DIAL-MTV. Tell us what video you want. And I'm telling you, for years, New Kids on the Block was the most requested video, never on the chart. Never on the chart. It was never on the chart. And that was probably 800,000-900,000, because it was very interactive. Back in the day, interactive. Can you believe it? We had an 800 number.
I know.
That was interactive.
I know.
That's what that was.
I don't think people can understand. I just saw Hunter Biden do an interview today.
This is an interesting piece of video.
All right, very interesting. But let me stop here first.
Crack is clean. It's good.
I know it's good for you. I mean, it's much better than alcohol.
Have some crack.
But the guy I'm watching do it, I've never heard of him. He's got several million views. I'd never heard of him before. And I thought, my gosh, we are so... The days of broadcasting where everybody kind of knew
who was who, people
was
were.
who. Those days are so far gone, where it's really now very narrow.
This is why I'm all about hyper-local podcasts, really. I mean, like, we got to move beyond this. I have to have the most. I have to have number one. It's just unimportant at the end of the day. You're always going to have huge shows. By the way, views is, what is a view? Is it 30 seconds? How much does someone watch? Whatever, that's all fine. we need to come back to smaller communities, whether geographic or of interest. So that we kind of like No Agenda. If you walk down the street, you ever hear the No Agenda show? Most people probably say no. We don't do video. We have a little under 1 million people. It's all RSS podcasting based. But those people, they're our family. And they have family, and we always say we're trying to get your amygdala the right size so that you can go out and spin you down from what's happening in the news. And that's all I can do. That's what I do. I don't need to, flip on video and show two old dudes with cans and microphones, and I'm not interested in that. And by the way, I love radio. I just love theater of the mind. I don't want people to know where I'm sitting. I want them to have a vision in their head of all of that
it's
stuff.
The only art form that you as listener have to work as hard as the person speaking. And if they're speaking and they're good at it, you're making movies all the time in your head.
I love that part.
Me too.
I mean,
one.
I still, even though we start the show at 1:00 for me on Thursdays and Sundays, I have the room dark. I got the little lamp. I really want the green visor. If I could have darken, like I'm in my space. Sometimes I'm talking with my eyes closed. I'm just trying to get the words out. So we need more of that. And it's funny because when you tell people, you can do a podcast just for your town. They're like, I can? Yeah, you don't have to have a million people viewing you on YouTube. Oh, that's interesting. And you could talk about stuff that makes a difference in your community. I can? Yeah, you can do that. And by the way, your church probably has a studio because we built all that during COVID. Yeah. So we got our technology vibe on. Yeah. And people are genuinely surprised. Like, I never thought of that because we've been conditioned. Got to be millions, got to be Rogan, got to be Beck, got to be Vaughn, got to be Megyn Kelly, on and on and on and on and on. No, you can make a big difference. Let's not lose sight of that. What kind of a difference you can make for your community and for your life and for your family and for your friends.
Let me go back to the Hunter Biden podcast.
Please. What's that about?
What was that?
Yeah. I don't know. Evil? It's insane. And of course it's clickbait, and it's meant to draw us in, and it's meant for us to have this conversation. And it's someone just like, don't look over here, look over here now. And let's go over there. And Hunter Biden. So this will, I mean, it wouldn't even surprise me if this was launched by the Trump administration to distract from Epstein. Just let's everybody look at this. Oh, we're going to arrest Obama. I mean, I was talking to my friend Brent, and he's like, we weren't meant, I don't think God designed us to process all this information.
We're not, you can see this in companies even. A company starts to break down at about 200 to 150 to 200 people.
Yeah, you're right.
You're only meant to have so many friends in your life, you know what I mean? And when your community gets, as an individual, more than 30, it all starts to break apart. We are doing things now that man is not created to do.
Yeah.
You know?
The sooner we recognize that, the better.
The better we are.
Yeah.
Let me go back to Epstein. You said that you watched the show last week.
Yes.
What did you think? What was your takeaway?
Well, I was thinking of you, and I was thinking of what you're getting from people, that it doesn't matter what you say, what you do, you're getting a deluge of just hate.
Yeah.
From no matter what, it's like a topic, like it doesn't matter what you say, you almost don't want to talk about it, but then it's like, you don't want to talk about it.
I know.
So it's like, I'm like, oh, at least we got Hunter Biden to talk about. That's the audience capture. And I know that you're strong, and I appreciate you for that. You're just like, no, I'm just going to say what I think. Not going to beat it to death. And that, again, is a problem. People want you to beat it to death. We're not going to stop until we've uncovered all of these pedophiles.
You got to let it go.
Memo. There's not going to be anything. We're not going to get anything. It's not going to happen. Did we really get anything from the JFK files? Or did we really get any of that? 9/11, on and on and on. We're not going to get it.
So has this always been this way? And there's just so many of us. I mean, because we always had the conspiracy kook on everybody's street. And, it was like, don't if he's out, you might want to just walk on the other side. Otherwise, he's going to get you in a conversation and you're there forever. We all had that. Now, everybody's street kook is everywhere. You know what I mean? And they have voices. Yeah. And so was it that we just didn't see it? We didn't hear it? I just have this pull for, I want to see some justice. I want to see people I know have lied, perjured themselves, broken the law, whatever it is. I want to see them face justice. I know God is going to do that. But to be able to have some faith in my country that you can't go into a city and burn it to the ground and then have everybody celebrate you.
Which is kind of what happened with the BLM riots.
Yes.
Well, I think I have to stop for myself at I know God will bring justice, because, of course, it's like with this rain that we had. This is literally 20 minutes from my house. Fredericksburg is in a higher elevation. So, our pool overflowed, but, what a problem. Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then it just, as we started to get the news coming in, streaming from people, it's like, and there are adult, intelligent people who are looking at videos that tell them that this was created by 5G towers, by excessive cloud seeding, and because they want an answer. They want to say, okay, I know why, and that person did it, or this entity did it. That's where we're missing God. I just keep coming back to it.
But
You have to just let it go.
There are acts of God, and then there are acts of men. And I agree with you. You got to let it go.
Yeah.
I got that. But, when you're looking for an answer in a flood and you're down to cloud seeding and 5G towers, that's a problem.
Yeah.
There were not enough.
And these are intelligent people.
I know.
These are.
Oh, I know.
love
I know.
them. These
I
are
know.
my friends. I love them.
I know. Donald Trump, fired everybody in NOAA. Wait, what?
Another one.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I get it. But when you're down to that on a natural event, and that's your first thought, that's a real problem. But there are those things that happen because man did it and not facing justice. How do you let go of the second? Again, I go back. Do you think our country has always been like this and we just didn't know?
Probably. Yeah, probably. Probably. The amount of information we have is too much, and everything's a disaster everywhere all the time.
All the time.
But, so you look at the death and destruction in the Middle East with Israel and Gaza, but no one's talking about what's happening in Africa, or there's killing. How many people are? We've moved on from Ukraine. I don't care who's to blame. There are a lot of people dying there. No one cares. So what is it? What are we doing? What are we thinking about?
So what is that?
Broken. Just we've lost spirituality. When I think, I'm not afraid of dying because I know where I'm going. That's so freeing. A friend of mine said, we're in jail and Jesus has given us the key to reach out behind the bars and unlock the door and get out. And we keep locking ourselves in. We keep closing the door. I just want to be in here. I just want to be in here with all of this stuff going on. So I know that justice will be done. I know that ultimately everyone who has perpetrated these horrendous acts and crimes, there will be justice. I pray that God brings justice for us to see it. But that's not just the law book. That's not just the Department of Justice. That's got to come from somewhere else. That's got to come from the same place that a bullet grazed the president's ear, and maybe he's actually gotten some faith in him. I don't know. That's got to come.
You know
from
him at all?
Sorry?
Do you know him at all?
Only from back in the 80s, when it was like everyone has got Trump's cell phone number.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know him.
I've known him for quite a while. He changed.
Yeah.
That changed him. And how much it affects him every day, I don't know. But
well, he's got the whole office of faith, and they're praying over him. I like seeing that. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Mike Johnson, for whatever you want, he's a very, very faithful, believing man, and not everybody's a fan, but I mean, God we're supposed to pray for our leaders and our elected officials. And I did for Biden as well.
I did for Biden. I did for Obama.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't saved then, so I was like, screw Obama. Get that socialist out of there. But yeah, I mean, you've got to pray. You got to pray for that they get wisdom. And that's been very freeing for me, because man, I got all kinds of mad and crazy, and I was definitely out there in conspiracy land for sure. Now I'm more conspiracy therapist, calm people down, bring you down. It's okay. It's going to be all right. Look at your wife. Look at your kids. Love them for a second. Hug them. Kiss them. We have love. We got to love each other. It's hard, but if you don't, it's like if you can't forgive, you're just going to hurt yourself.
Yeah,
that's what people eventually they realize. They're like, I'm not feeling too good. Well, you're just angry and you're not forgiving, and you can't give up and give in and move on sometimes. And I know exactly the responses I'm going to get from this podcast, what people are going to say. But I'm okay. It's like I'm giving you a way to freedom, to calm down. Doesn't mean that anything is right or can't change.
It doesn't mean that you don't stand up for what is right. I mean, exactly. You got to do that. I think people, when you say you got to let it go, people think that's surrender. It's not surrender. No. Jesus let everything go, and he did not surrender.
Nope.
He fought until the very end, just in a different way. And you can only do what you can do. And then, God tells you to do something, stand over there. Stand over there. And be the best at standing over there. Be the best you can possibly be standing over there. But, I had somebody say to me once, it's really interesting, because I'm like, I got to do more. I got to do more. And he said, it's really interesting to me how we don't view that as sinful. And I said, what do you mean? He said, God told you, you've told me, he told you what to do. And yet you're saying, no, I want to do more. Yeah. And he's like, just do that. That's enough.
In his timing, be patient. Yeah. Oh, I fall prey to that too.
I know.
All the time. I got to do more. There's more to be done.
I know.
Yeah. But in general, I think I'm bullish about the future. I really am. I'm an optimist by nature. I see beauty every single day, everywhere. Where I don't find it is on my phone. I just don't find it there. It's just not there. And, it probably has to get worse before it gets better. That people realize, like, no, just this is not doing it for me. So I'm focusing more on how can we make the summer camp for the kids better. How can I mentor some of the young men to do a podcast about what's happening in their lives, so that they can speak into their own culture? How can I do that stuff? Me, I'm going to be 61 in September. I have a whole new plan that God's given me, but I want to facilitate the next generation. We need the next Glenn Beck. Where's that coming from? We need them.
It's really funny, because I'm doing something. I'm completely reshaping my life. Beginning in January, and haven't really talked about it very much yet. And we're in exactly the same place. That's what the Lord is leading me to. He's like, Amen. Next generation. What are you doing?
Yeah.
It's not about you. It's not about your impact. It's about now you passing the torch to the next generation and saying, where are the ones that want to serve? How can I strengthen you?
Wow.
And I think that's awesome. I mean, that's what I'm hearing from you too.
Of course.
Yeah.
And if there's anything I can do to help you with that mission, you let me know, because that's part of our mission, man. That's what we have to do. We've both been in media a long time. We've had the ups, had the downs. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, I'm good. I'm fine. We have our little house, our little community. But now how can I do the next level?
Did you ever, because I did you, and sometimes it still will play a role with me, and I'll have to catch myself and go, stop it. It doesn't matter. More with Adam Curry in just a minute. Every story has a beginning, and for most of us, that beginning wasn't a grand entrance. It was just a flicker, a flutter, a heartbeat, barely enough to even notice, but real and alive and ours. Now imagine that story, your story, ending before it even had the chance to begin, not because of evil intentions, but because of fear, because someone was told there was no other way. PreBorn exists to break that lie, to interrupt that fear, and they provide free ultrasounds to women who are facing the most difficult, lonely, and life-changing decisions they'll ever make. And when expecting moms see that baby's heartbeat on the screen, something changes, but they're still alone. They don't know. It's no longer just an issue to them. It's a son, it's a daughter, it's a future, but they're alone. That's where PreBorn comes in. They will walk these women through the entire journey, offering resources, counseling, baby supplies, love. They don't just save babies and offer the ultrasound. They save mothers from a lifetime of regret. You're saving two people if you stand with PreBorn. One ultrasound, $28. 5 is $140. You want to donate anything from $5 to $500,000. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, keyword baby, or visit preborn.com/Glenn. Preborn.com/Glenn, sponsored by PreBorn. Fame and fortune is such battery acid to the soul because you notice fortune going down, fame going down. What do I do? Your first response is, uh-oh, I'm becoming irrelevant. And, you know what I mean? Did that ever play a role in your life?
Not really. I mean, I kind of made myself irrelevant when I left MTV and started an internet company, and I became relevant in other ways. We had 750 people. We took it public. I mean, it was a crazy time. I hear you about the more than 200, and then I woke up one day. I'm like, I'm wearing a suit. I would stop. I want to get out, and then kind of like went to recollect myself, and then all of a sudden podcasting happened, and I knew right then and there, this cannot be owned by anybody. So I just became a podcaster, and just started doing what I love doing. Just be like being on the radio without someone telling me what to do. So that and also for whatever reason, I've never worried about money. I've had it, I haven't had it, I've spent it. It's always. I learned in 1990, I remember it very well, MTV fired me for like the 7th time because I wouldn't cut my hair or whatever. And the producer's like, no, this is real this time, bro. You're out. And I had like $2,000 in the bank, a mortgage, a 6-month-old child. I'm like, what am I going to do? And I was just eating myself up for days and days. It was actually Tony Robbins' Power Talk tapes. You remember those?
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, you can change how you feel in an instant. I'm like, okay, I feel better now. I didn't. But I just... Anyway, after 5 days, MTV called and said, well, nobody can really do this, so we're going to hire you back. We're going to give you 5 times your rate. And from that moment on, I went, I'm never, ever, ever worrying about money again. I'm never going to do that. It's just not worth it. And so I've been up and down, been all over.
So how did you correct that?
I just stopped. Now I know the Lord provides.
Yeah.
And I said, it's like been up here, it's been down here, it's been all over the place. I think
that's the only thing that changed my life. Knowing that there is no bad. There is no bad. It just is.
It is.
And it's how you deal with it. And you can be really happy with nothing. You can be really miserable with a lot. And you'll go from have to have not and back and forth. And it really doesn't. It's easy to say when you have money.
Well, I was very miserable when I had a lot of money. I remember, I'm like, this sucks. You got multiple houses. You got a guy to watch the house, and a guy to watch the guy who watches the house, and a gardener, and then a helicopter pilot, and like, yeah. And I was like, what am I doing? And then and the Lord took it away from me. I spent most of it. That was fun. Like, he took it away by me spending it on cool stuff. Right. But then that humbled me, and like, okay, and then just do what I do, which is I'm just a radio guy. Just do my podcast, and, do what I love doing, and it's been okay. Life's Joe Walsh. Life's been good to me so far.
Let's leave it here with the next 12 months. What do you see on the horizon?
Wow. Well, politically, everything's going to be about the midterms. Everything now, it's all about midterms. The whole thing, no matter what you hear about Epstein or that, it's all Elon. Don't forget, Elon's out here floating around doing something. It's all about the midterms. It's all politics. I hope that President Trump is just doing what he thinks is the right thing to do for the country, that he does not care. They just doesn't care. Like, I've got these things to take care of. I don't know.
I will tell you, the last time I was with him, he said those words to me, I don't know how many times. I don't really care.
Interesting.
I don't care.
Well,
they can say whatever they want. I don't care. I'm doing this.
Yeah. Well, so he also, I don't think he really has his finger on the pulse the way he thinks he does.
I agree with that.
He didn't really understand how angry people were about forced vaccinations, warp speed. He felt that he had done a great thing. Doesn't matter on what side of the aisle you are. It was very controversial.
I've never seen him, except for that, I've never seen him, trying to take the pulse of the nation here. And with Epstein, it's like,
I think he blew it.
I think too. I think he was like trying to find the pulse in the shoulder, and I'm like, dude, you're off here. And it was odd because he is so on the money.
He knows the audience.
He knows
the audience, but now he's playing it like kind of a reality show, and you can't just cut to commercial here. That's not going to happen. So, I hope that
in his last 2 years, does he become lame duck? I know we haven't even finished.
Don't know. I mean,
he's still going. I mean, the NPR PBS thing. Did you ever think that would happen?
Well, what was really interesting is that all the media, so this was the $9 billion rescission bill. Mm-hmm. The $1 billion for, and by the way, $1 billion, what are you telling me?
I know.
When we had these floods, you turned on NPR, they were running Fresh Air with Terry Gross. Mm-hmm. There was no local NPR station. Same with Snowmageddon, a couple of years back. Five straight days, no power. NPR was, we had literally the weather guy on the local top 40 station was doing better than NPR.
Right.
So I don't care too much about that. The $9 billion was something very interesting that happened in American politics. When Richard Nixon, basically Congress finagled it so that when Congress, who holds the purse strings, when they appropriate money, you have to spend it all on that thing. And this rescission bill was a trial balloon to say, wait a minute, I'm the CEO of the country, and I don't want to spend this money on that, and I make that decision, and here's how it's going to work from now on. No one really wants to talk about that part, certainly not the Democrats. But there's a very big shift in how money is appropriated and now works in America, which I think is a good thing, because there's so much corruption and pushing money towards projects, and then Congress goes, good, it's all spent, you have to spend it, got to spend it all, it's all got to go out. And now it's like, no, we're going to take back this money. I think that this $9 billion is just a fraction of what we're going to see in the future.
I hope so.
I hope so too. So those things, President Trump will probably never get credit for moving that kind of stuff. But
he's changed. I think in 6 months, he's changed the nation and the presidency forever.
Yes, and very strong forces are trying to stop him, and distract us from that, and it's understandable.
How do you feel about Tulsi Gabbard in the position? I know you have uncle that was in the CIA.
Yes, yeah, Uncle Don. Mm-hmm.
These are the scariest people, and she's now sitting right at the head, going, "Let me see what you have. Let me see your work here." If any of this stuff is true, she's not in a really comfortable position.
She's very brave.
She's very brave. Very brave.
So
do you believe what's coming out?
Totally. Having grown up kind of spook adjacent with my entire family. Did I ever tell you about my aunt? So
no.
Uncle Don, he was in OSS. CIA was still OSS, and he was a cryptographer. And then he rose up to be, he actually had he was national security advisor to Bush Sr.
Wow.
And, you
Wow.
had Felix Rodriguez on, though. He knows Felix very, very well because of Iran-Contra.
Yeah.
He tells stories about Felix showing up, coming to a party at the embassy, and he had his, his hand grenades on his belt. So I'm going right, in Vietnam days. Like, I'm going back, and I'll see you guys later. But when Aunt Meg... So he was also ambassador to Korea, after Iran-Contra. Go over here, do this. And Aunt Meg, she was a wonderful ambassador wife, and she just and she was the matron of the kind of the whole family, and we called her secretly Bossy Cow, but she just was great. And when she passed a couple of years ago, nobody knew this. Turns out she outranked Uncle Don in the CIA. She ran the Russia desk, spoke fluent Russian.
Oh my gosh.
And no one knew that. So it was revealed when she passed. I'm like, so I look at these people, and for whatever you do, good or bad, they approach it from a patriotic standpoint. They really want to do good for the country.
I wouldn't say universally that's true. I'm sure there's some people
I think the old school CIA,
yes.
That was the Catholics in action, jump out of airplanes, save the world.
Yes.
That has changed. And that has changed a long, long time. And it's all propaganda, psyops. I mean, all of social media is either psyop by the CIA or the DIA, things that get traction. I mean, you can't trust any of it. So... it would be. Will we ever open that up? Will everyone ever understand that? No. Do we need it? I don't know. I mean, all of it is. It's really quite disgusting. The whole thing. But of course, as I always say to people, it's like, look, if we don't, for instance, Iran. I don't believe for a second this was about taking out nuclear facilities. No, it was China who had just rolled in a train 10 days earlier. The whole Belt and Road project is going through Iran. It's a very strategic location to have the Belt and Road coming into Iran and moving out, and then of course their oil and stuff is going back to China. It was a stop, BRICS. You're not going to do this. That's not happening. And if we don't do that, then China might run stuff, or Russia. And I don't think we want that. Russia has more our values than people realize. China, no. So that unfortunately is just the way of the world. Either we're going to do it, and now the stablecoin thing, that I think that it's called the Genius Act, and there's a couple other bills. It is kind of genius, because how do we keep the dominance of the U.S. dollar, even though it's completely fake? Right. It's all made out of fake stuff. And I think the stablecoin gambit, as I call it, is going to keep our...
Why?
Because it basically keeps the U.S. currency, the U.S. dollar. 400 million people use stablecoin, and it is the U.S. dollar backed by our treasury. So it'll keep our dominance in the money system, but not forever. So it's kind of like I hope people realize this is a temporary measure so that we don't get screwed, and the tariffs have to do with that as well. And I'll just say, for my money, you want to end wars, you want to have peace on earth, everybody use Bitcoin. I know it sounds crazy, but
I agree.
But I really think that would be a big solution, and it's not for us to fix. That'll be for the younger generation to come to that realization that there is an actual money that we all can use, no one controls, and I think it would bring peace. There's no reason to go. There's no way to finance your wars. That would be a big fix. So I hope that happens.
Always great to talk to you.
Oh, Glenn, thank you so much.
Will you come back? So it's not, 2 years?
It's been 2 years, yeah.
We have you back.
Anytime. I love talking with this stuff about you, because particularly from the biblical perspective, you get it, and I appreciate that. And thank you for inviting me once again.
You're welcome.